In a world obsessed with online shopping, flashy ads, and celebrity endorsements, one Indian fashion brand decided to play by its own rules. They didn't have any app, they didn't run any ads, they focused solely on brick and mortar stores. And yet, they became a retail giant challenging the biggest names in the fashion industry. Every other brand you see in the market is fighting for online space and spending lakhs of rupees on digital marketing and e-commerce platforms. Zudio, on the other hand, quietly built an empire over 700 stores across India. The moment you enter a Zudio, all you see is trendy clothes at a price you cannot believe. Take a look at this denim jacket. Just 4,000 rupees, and this t-shirt for just 299 rupees. Zudio's parent company Trent Limited, which is a part of Tata Group, made a revenue of over 6,900 crores last year by selling these. But how did a brand with no online presence manage to compete with giants like Myntra and Ajio? What market cap did Zudio find that nobody else could? What was their positioning? Why did they choose that price point? And more importantly, why did they only decide to sell offline and not online? And what can we learn from their strategy that's completely disrupting India's fashion retail industry? Before Zudio entered, the Indian fashion market had two extreme ends. On one end, you had international fast fashion giants like Zara and H&M offering trendy clothes but at prices often out of reach of an average Indian consumer. On the other, local markets offered affordability but often lacked the latest styles and quality. There was a massive untapped sweet spot. Not just that, for years, India's fashion industry has been obsessed with only metro cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore. That's where all big brands focused. They assumed that's where the money was, where people cared about fashion. But here's the problem they completely missed. Today, most of the younger generations are on Instagram or Twitter. The middle and lower middle income segments, particularly in tier 2, 3 and 4 cities, were hungry for trendy, good quality fashion, but they couldn't spend 2 to 3,000 rupees. This segment was increasingly fashion conscious, influenced by social media and global trends. While other brands were busy fighting each other in these saturated metro markets, there were millions of young people in cities like Indore, Nashik, Coimbatore and Lucknow who wanted to look good but had very limited options. Zudio saw this gap. Zudio's positioning was incredibly clear. Value for money fashion for masses. They weren't trying to be high fashion or ultra premium. They aimed to be accessible, trendy and reliable. So instead of opening stores in crowded Mumbai's mall, Zudio opened stores in places like Aurangabad, Rajkot and Vijayawada. They gave these customers exactly what they wanted: access to trendy fashion without having to travel to metro or pay metro prices. And Zudio stores became the go-to fashion destination for an entire generation of young Indians who felt ignored by mainstream fashion retail. Now that we know the audience Zudio targeted, but how did they actually win customers? They figured out how to make clothes that looked exactly like what you would find in expensive stores, but at prices that college students could afford. As of FY 2024, an astounding 85% of Zudio's items are priced under 1,000 rupees, with most core SKUs hovering around the 300 to 500 mark. When a trendy top costs less than a meal at a casual restaurant, consumers are more likely to pick it up without much deliberation. How did they do this? How was Zudio able to sell high quality clothes for so cheap? Well, they cut out the middlemen, they optimized their supply chain, and instead of spending crores on celebrity endorsements and fancy advertising, they put that money into making better products and better prices. While other fashion brands had a CAC of 200 to 300 attached to product price, Zudio had almost zero CAC. But how is Zudio profitable by selling clothes at such low price? One word: private labeling. Zudio follows the same model as one of the other Tata companies we know, Westside, which has relied on its own brands rather than selling clothes of other brands. The contribution of Westside's own labels to its revenue has grown from 80% in March 2013 to 100% at the present. This strategy allows Zudio to do two things. First, enable maximum profit margin. You see, private labels allow you to have the maximum profit margins because you eliminate commissions that other brands charge. And both Westside and Zudio are the only ones who rely on this strategy 100%. Whereas Reliance Trends and Pantaloons only get 75 to 65% of their respective sales from private labels. Second benefit of private labeling is that they can control the production and adapt easily to the changing fashion scene. Zudio's core audience, which is the college kids, are into fast fashion, which means it has to keep up with the ongoing trends that are blowing up on Instagram and by celebrities. By owning their own private label, they can churn out fresh inventory within 2 weeks and keep them relevant. Now, coming to the most interesting part, we're in 2025. Everyone is talking about digital marketing, online shopping, and the e-commerce boom. But Zudio made a baffling decision. No app, no e-commerce platform, no online marketplace. They remained entirely offline. But why? In fact, every business influencer or guru will tell you that if you're not selling online, you can't run your business. Every fashion brand is spending millions trying to crack the online market. But Zudio noticed that while brands were obsessing over the online presence, the actual shopping experience was getting worse. People were buying clothes online and then returning them because they didn't fit right or the material and feel is not what they expected. The excitement of buying new and fashionable clothes was getting lost in endless scrolling. By taking an offline-only approach, Zudio gained 6 big advantages over its competitors. Number 1, lower operational costs. By eliminating the massive overhead associated with e-commerce, such as warehousing, shipping, returns, digital marketing, Zudio could cut over 30% of their product costs. 2, inventory control. Prevent stockouts and overstocking issues that often plague online fashion retailers. Number 3, impulse purchases. The physical store environment, with its bright lighting, spacious layouts, and strategically placed impulse buy zones near checkout, encourages spontaneous purchases. 4, trial room experience. Fashion is tactile. People want to feel the fabric, try on clothes, and see how they look. Zudio capitalizes in this inherent need. Number 5, local buzz and exclusivity. By being offline, Zudio fosters a sense of local discovery and word-of-mouth marketing. Each new store opening becomes an event. Number 6, targeting non-digital natives or less digital savvy. While India is digitizing, a significant portion of its population, especially in smaller towns, still prefers or relies on physical retail. Zudio caters to this demographic effectively. And here's the brilliant part. In FY25, Zudio surpassed $1 billion in revenue thanks to its offline model and rapid store expansion. One more thing that set Zudio apart was their marketing strategy. In today's world, every fashion brand follows the same marketing playbook. Our celebrities shoot expensive ad campaigns, flood social media with influencer partnerships, and spend crores on digital advertising. Open any fashion magazine or scroll through Instagram, and you'll see the same thing repeated again and again. The problem with this approach is it's very expensive, and most of the time it doesn't connect with the real customers. Zudio did things differently. Instead of spending money on expensive campaigns, they invested in understanding local behavior. They figured out that in smaller cities, word of mouth is everything. So they collaborated with micro-influencers and focused on user-generated content. Zudio lets their customers do their marketing for them. When someone gets a great outfit at an unbeatable price, they naturally tell their friends. Zudio became the brand that people discovered through their trusted circle, not through paid advertisements. They built a marketing strategy based on genuine satisfaction rather than artificial hype. Lastly, let's look at the bigger picture. The Indian fashion retail industry has been dominated by the same players for years. You had your high-end brands, your mid-range options, and your budget alternatives. Everyone knew their place, everyone followed the established rules, and the industry was pretty predictable. This created a massive blind spot. Established brands became comfortable with their market positions and stopped innovating. They assumed that customers would always behave the same way, that tier 2 and 3 cities would eventually copy metro trends, and that online shopping would completely replace offline retail. Zudio redefined the whole industry. They proved that you could build a massive fashion empire without following any of the so-called essential rules. No celebrity endorsements? No problem. No online store? Actually an advantage. No focus on metros? That's where the real opportunity was. Their success had forced entire industry to rethink everything. Now you see other brands are trying to open stores in tier 2 cities. They're questioning whether they really need to spend so much on digital marketing. Zudio basically showed everyone that there was a different way to win, and now the whole industry is trying to catch up. They have created a new category, affordable trendy fashion, and set the standards very high. They proved that when you truly understand your customers and serve them better than anyone else, you don't just succeed, you change the entire game. So there you have it, how Zudio took over India's fashion market by doing everything differently. The biggest lesson here, sometimes the biggest opportunities are hiding in plain sight. While everyone else was following the same playbook, Zudio wrote their own rules and won big. What do you think about Zudio's strategy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more business case studies like this.